All right. Welcome back to another Tech Talk. I'm your host, Josh from KeepItTechie, and I'm super excited today. I got another, professional in the building, and I have Ryan, aka IT guy Rye, in the building. I'm glad to have him in the building. How you doing, Rye? Or Ryan?
Hey,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
yeah, Ryan, Rye, whatever you want to do. It's all good. I'm doing well. I'm
For
glad
sure.
to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. And shout out to everybody that came, and I'm messing up. And that's in the building. Necessary Evil, good to see you. Lovely Angel Lady, Zakiba, good to see you guys. Eight Wins is Timeless, good to see you. So definitely appreciate all you guys coming out to check out the Tech Talk. And so, this is like number 32, of Tech Talks, man. It's I've had, 32 different people on here. It's super cool and super dope that I'm able to find all these different people that are in the IT field so they can share their experience and their, experience within the profession. So, good to have you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be here. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I typically start off the interview by allowing you to introduce yourself as well as give a little bit about your background.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, my name's Ryan, IT guy Ryan. I am a system engineer. I've been working in IT since 2014, I want to say. I have a really kind of backwards journey on how I started. So my first IT position was actually as a QA tester. So I
Okay.
was, yeah, I was testing code. At the before I got into that position, I was working as like a customer service agent or something like that, and I was making the transition over to IT. Like I wanted to jump into IT, and not a position, but a program opened up in my company where they were letting people kind of venture into other departments and try other things out. So I got lucky and was able to try that out. And so I started as a QA analyst. And then to me, this is kind of backwards because a QA analyst is kind of like to me, a mid-level tech career.
Mm-hmm.
I went from QA analyst and then I left the company I was at and went over to United Airlines where I was, like service desk. So level one password resets and things like that. Like just helping people troubleshoot, like, hey, is your internet browser open? It's like, oh yeah, I'm on Windows. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Uh, from there, I moved over to another company in 2016. I was desktop support, and that's when I really got to get my hands on like actual hardware. I was able to do a lot more server management, a lot more, with Windows. I really got into scripting as far as Python and Linux. And then in 2020, last year, I left there right when I became a system administrator, probably like 6 months after. And I moved over to another company where I'm at now, where I'm a system engineer. And I do a lot of work now in Jira, and which is kind of like a project management tool. I do a lot of Jira, do a lot of Apple management within Jamf, those kind of things.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you got a very extensive background, kind of like myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's that's dope, man. To hear how other people have actually got into the field. Now, did you get any schooling before you got that job, or while that first job?
So my degree is in marketing and communications.
Okay.
I did not go outside of a very basic, you know, computer science 101 class.
Mm-hmm.
I never took a computer science class or anything like that. I am completely self-taught when it comes to IT.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super cool to hear because you know um, a lot of people nowadays they you got to get certified or you got to go to these courses in order to get into it. And
Hmm.
it's cool to meet somebody that actually didn't go the traditional route. Which I've met a couple people like you that started out in one career and then transition. Was it hard to transition, like that process, how you was able to, I don't know, get that that position that allowed you to transition? Was it, I don't
It
know, difficult?
it wasn't for me because and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Like growing up, like I wasn't particularly, you know, I didn't have my hands on computers or anything like that. Like I wasn't allowed to touch a computer. But I always saw myself as technically sound, like just in general. And so during college, I worked at Best Buy. I worked in Geek Squad.
Okay.
So yeah, so I really got that hands-on experience there where you pick up the basics, like that A+ basic, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. That really does help. That foundational basics, it helps a lot. So I got that experience, and I was going back and forth between going to law school
Mm-hmm.
and becoming and going into IT. And my wife actually made that decision for me once we found out how much schooling, how long it would take, the amount of work and everything, and how much it would cost.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, you know what, I think you should go ahead and go into IT. And it was a mixture of my wife, and then it was around the time Mr. Robot came out.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, I am enthralled with this right now.
Yeah.
Like, and then like I was like, and I was looking at his code, and I was like, I recognize this. Like I know Python, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the scripts. I'm like, that's a Python script.
Yep.
And I remember I was sitting with one of my roommates at the time. He was like, there's no way you saw that quick. I'm like, pause it and zoom in. It is a Python script. I'm telling you. And right away, yeah. So it wasn't hard to make that jump, especially because I was so driven. So I remember when I was studying for my Network Plus, I was at my desk, like when I was supposed to be doing like on calls and stuff like that. I'm studying, like I'm just in the CompTIA book, like I got to do this. So, and then I would lab everything I possibly could at home. So, first it was, all right, let me get some computers that maybe someone's not using. So I would just grab old computers. Then I would grab old network equipment. I built servers. Then the Raspberry Pi just took off and got really popular. So I probably have 50 of those hanging around my house, and I would just do little projects here and there. Smart mirrors, servers. I built so many servers, it doesn't even make sense. I don't know why I keep building servers. Like it was really just, I kind of threw myself in.
Mm-hmm.
Really, where it really became part of my everyday life. And I think that's really how you have to look at it. Like when you get into IT, I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not really just a job. It is really like it's your lifestyle. After a while.
Yep, I agree.
Like everything revolves around it. Like you look at things, you're like, that's not right. Like I'll go into buildings, and if I see something's not networked correctly, or if I see like a wire that's just like out of place, I'm like, what is going on? Like everywhere I go, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I got you. So let's roll it back a little bit, because I wanted to get into some of that a little later, but it's cool. If someone was like trying to get into IT, where do you think they should start in today's? Because I believe you're a little bit younger than me, and I know this thing, the way you get into the field is it changes it constantly.
It does.
So
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Right now, I think a lot still depends on who you are. Like not everyone, like the way I did it, like I said, I didn't take a class or anything. I'm completely self-taught. Like I went on Amazon and just started ordering books.
Mm-hmm.
And was just studying. But I also had the plus of growing up with a mother who's a teacher.
Okay.
So I know all the, the little tricks and hints and everything like that. So it depends on who you are. I would never say, hey, you have to go get a 4-year degree to jump into IT, because I don't think that is true at all. I think if you have the motivation and you're willing to dedicate the time needed, and you don't need someone standing over you to make sure you get something done, you can do everything yourself. You can get these certifications, and that will, like, in place of a degree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think right now that you need a degree, but as far as, and then also you have to decide what in IT you want to do. And that's hard to say.
Yeah. Like,
especially when you're first getting in, but there's so many different avenues when you're just looking at technology in general. You have security right now. SaaS is very huge software, like as a cloud computing. That's probably the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Like cloud computing is everything right now. I'm a little bit behind the curve on that. Actually, I'm just now really studying and getting into cloud computing just because I was hard-headed. I was like, nah, on-prem is going to be forever. Everyone's going to do this. We're all going to have to go into data rooms and server, and everything will work forever. Nope. People are switching over to cloud, and you got to get with it. So if I had to say where should you start, it depends on your level. I still think A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus are great places to start. I think if you don't have that foundational knowledge, you're going to be a little bit behind, or there's going to be things that you just miss.
Yeah.
But I think jump in. Like, before you go pay $16,000 for a class, because these classes can get expensive, buy a book or go on YouTube. Look at some of these videos. See if this is something you actually want to do, and if you understand it. And if you're someone, if you can self-teach yourself, then do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know what I'm saying? It's so many resources out here that can put you ahead of the game, where you can at least see what these positions are before you actually try to pursue them. So I definitely agree there. You know what I'm saying? It's the information is out there. You just have to have a drive and push to want to get it, or see what's out there. And also, you made one statement about about foundation. Yeah, it's so many different areas in IT, but you have to have that foundational knowledge in order to succeed or be successful. So I 100% agree with what you said. Now, let me give a couple of shout outs right fast, because I see a lot of people rolling in the building, and people getting sad. What's up, Coogan? What's up, man? Good to see you, bro. And also, Gabe A, salute to you, man. Thanks for the super chat. I definitely appreciate it. Rider God Podcast, good to see you, man. Welltech IT, good to see you. Shout out to the council. Ghetto Geek 414, good to see you as well. Dorf Low Value, man, what's up, bro? How you doing? Zakiba, I think I said something. What's up? How y'all doing? Good to see everybody. And if I missed somebody, sorry about that, but I appreciate all you guys being here. And if you could do me a favor, go on and share the video so I can try to get more people, to come through the channel, because Ryan here is dropping a lot of gems that I think can help people, that want to get into this field. So I definitely appreciate it. Now, one other thing, you hit on labbing a little earlier, and that's what I was saying. Like, let me roll it back a little bit. I don't want you to go too deep into that, but how do you currently keep your technology skills current?
Labbing. And that's really that is the most important thing. Like, being hands-on, like, you can read all day. Like, you can read nonstop, but until you get something in front of you, until you experience how to use something, it is going to be damn near impossible to really understand how things work. Like I said, what I did was I just started grabbing computers wherever. I didn't care if it was a super old computer. I grabbed my mom's old touchscreen that had been sitting in her basement. I grabbed her old tower. I grabbed some old laptops that had some, old HDDs. It was like Intel Pentium processors. It takes 3 days to power on. And I just started working on them. I started trying to mimic an enterprise environment, right? Because that's why we're all here mostly, is because we all want to work. And if you can kind of figure out how things are going to work in the job you're aiming for before you get there, before you get to that interview, and you can speak to it, that helps a lot. Like, if you can set up a situation where you can troubleshoot it, where things go wrong, it works perfectly. And now, and again today, it's cheap. You don't even need large computers. You don't need computers. You can do virtual machine. You get one laptop with 16 gigs of RAM and a solid state hard drive. Set up VirtualBox. You don't want to use VirtualBox, set up XE. That's cloud virtualization. Now you have AWS, you have Azure. They'll give you free credits. I just signed up for Google Cloud today or yesterday. They give you a $300 credit to use within 90 days just so you can figure out if you like it. Like, you can set all this up. And again, get the book, set up the environment and just break it.
Yeah.
I try and break everything because that's where you make your money. That's where you figure out how good you are at something. It's one thing to be able to build something, but you have to remember you're working in a team.
Yeah.
And honestly, people mess things up. And so you need to be if you can be the person where things go wrong, they come to you, that makes you that much more valuable.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So again, I think labbing really is the most important. If I had to say what should someone do if they wanted to get ready right now, hey, I have a computer, it has 8 gigs of RAM. Tell me what should I do? Go to virtualbox.org, download VirtualBox, download Ubuntu, download Debian, and start working. You can get Windows evaluations for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Now go to the Windows evaluation software site, get those. You want to know how to use a Mac, you can hack your VirtualBox to emulate a Mac environment. I've done it a million times. Like, do it. That's the best way, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's funny you brought that up. I recently installed Windows Server 2016 in a virtual machine just to play around with it because it's I work for the government, so I work for the DoD,
Okay.
so they're kind of behind on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so moving the network forward, as support is taken away, I just want to be ahead of the game by fully understanding 2016 because they still do a lot of on-prem stuff. It's no cloud technologies being used that much, but so it's always best to have those things set up at your house. It's kind of like a way to test things and to fix issues. You can try to duplicate issues that you found at work to see if it'll if you could come up with a fix for it. So that's definitely important. And then also, one other thing, you the first person I heard brought up Google Cloud, and this is something I've been wanting to do a video on, but I host all my websites on Google Cloud instance, and it costs me like $4 a month.
Oh wow.
And so yeah, it's because of the bandwidth. I'm obviously not getting that much bandwidth, so it's not it's not costing me much, but it'll obviously go up a little more depending on how much bandwidth you're using. But it's beneficial if you're just trying to get off the ground instead of paying $100 and some bucks for some hosting provider, or trying to host it from your house, which a lot of times they block port 80 at your house.
Yeah,
you can get around it by using Google Cloud or some of these droplet. They got a whole bunch of cloud providers, but you're definitely right, man. Use those resources because Microsoft, it definitely allows you to set up a whole environment. Eventually over time they'll charge you, but you have that opportunity to play around with it at least and understand how to actually use it for free. So
for free, like honestly, almost all, like everything out has a free trial, and it's anywhere from 60 to 90 days, which honestly, if you're someone who is kind of like a maniac like me, where once I start, I'm not going to stop until I understand it, 60 to 90 days is enough time to really get something down and lab it and to understand to figure out if you understand it or if it's something you want to do. Like the Google Cloud thing, I literally just signed up for yesterday. What did I see? Something, I think I saw that the certification was either like really cheap or free, one of them, or the teachings are. And I was like, all right, well, that's another cert that I can, knock out real quick. So that,
it's definitely important to keep doing that training. But one other thing I wanted to ask you, as far as networking, how important is it having a network? And what I'm talking about is people.
I think that's probably the most important aspect of working in IT, because if you know someone or if you know people who are very well known in the tech field or who can speak to how well you are versed in the tech field, that helps a lot. One of my jobs I got because of my tech videos and because of someone I knew. Like that just makes because no one wants to hire someone and train them from the ground up, right? Like that sounds bad sometimes, but like you want someone who knows what they're doing unless you're actually hiring like a junior.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times
Or
if
an
you're going for
intern.
like a senior role, right, exactly. But if you're going for a senior role or a, just a mid-level role, they kind of expect you to come in and hit the ground running.
Yep.
So with that, if you have someone who can say, hey, look, he can already do this, or someone who can even tell you about jobs that are open.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think being active on a social network as just as an IT worker, I think it helps you a lot. You make those connections, and then no one knows everything.
Yeah.
Someone may be like you're in the Linux. Like you know way more about Linux than I will ever know, right? You've probably forgotten more than I'll ever know. So I would come to you if I'm having a Linux issue, and that could really help me. Like when I've had Linux issues, I've gone to CyberArms. He's like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just helps in so many different ways. Like just having that, it's the sense of community really helps as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of tech people, especially if you've been in tech a long time when being in tech wasn't cool,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of felt like an outcast, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a whole community of people. Social networking just makes that so easy that you can bounce ideas off of. Hell, Stack Overflow exists. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
just on a lower level.
Exactly. Nah, I definitely agree with you. And that's why I tend to push LinkedIn a lot. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people use other platforms, which is fine. Twitter, I even talk about Twitter nowadays as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
that hashtag Black Tech Twitter, or all
Yeah.
these different tech hashtags that are out there. It's super cool to connect with people, and that'll expand your network. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
interested in getting into the IT field, it's definitely a good idea to try to build up a network. So I
Yep.
definitely, now let me ask you this: mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
Have you mentored before, and is it good for people that are trying to get into the field to have a mentor? Or what's your
Um,
thoughts?
I think mentoring is very important. I'm not gonna lie, I have not really mentored. Like if someone reaches out, I've had people reach out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I guess I have one person who I could kind of say I'm probably a mentor to.
Mm-hmm.
And she reaches out to me when she's having issues just about career advice and things like that, but I kind of just fell into that. Like
Okay.
it wasn't like I was aiming for that, it just kind of happened.
Yeah, me too.
But I think I think people who like chase being a mentor are great people, like
Mm-hmm.
in general, like, but it's very important. I had a mentor. Like I think I made my biggest jump in my career from when I met someone who took a genuine interest in me
Yeah.
and in how I was working. They gave me advice like, you know, do it this way
Mm-hmm.
or look at it this way. Like it helps. It helps
Yeah.
a lot. Just having someone you can go to and talk about pain points with, because I'm gonna tell you right now, working in IT is probably one of the most stressful jobs you will ever work in. It's not it's not for the faint of heart. So having someone who has been in this career for a long time who can tell you like, hey, things get better,
Mm-hmm.
or this is how this works. You need to adjust. Someone who will call you out when you're wrong,
Yeah.
or in your thoughts or the way you're approaching something. It it's everything. I think it's very important. I think if you can find a mentor, find them and hold on to them for dear life.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that kind of ties to the whole networking piece. I mean, yeah, if you see a area of IT that you're very interested in, reach out to, the people that are currently working in that field so you can get, some mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And just like me or you know what I'm saying? If someone reaches out to us, more than likely, if we have the time, we'll walk them through the
Mm-hmm.
full process of getting into this field.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying, is and you're speaking on being a mentor, you kind of fell into it. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I learned it from the military, and I didn't even
Okay.
know I was mentoring people. I mean, the whole part of the leadership portion. When you get into the
Yeah.
military, once you become a sergeant, you or a leader at that point. You go through leadership training and all that stuff, and pretty much you're mentoring all these soldiers that come in below you. So I never
Mm-hmm.
looked at it as mentorship. I just looked at it
Right.
like I'm doing my job. I'm trying to help these people, get trained up or,
Right.
and so that kind of carried over once I got out the military where I'm constantly, I don't know, I feel like I'm useless if I'm not helping somebody. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so, um, I don't know. I just look at it that way. I'm just constantly trying to help people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As best as I can. And even though some people don't want your help, it's fine. Whatever.
You
But
can't help everyone,
yeah, you
but
can't
yeah.
help everyone. Yeah, you're right. But um, nah. But
Yeah, mentoring
go
like
ahead. I'm sorry.
so no, you're fine. The because I realized also just in mentoring, because sometimes if someone comes to you with an issue, you're not gonna have that answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
that forces you to kind of like, all right, I don't want to let this person down.
Hmm.
Let me do some homework. Let me figure out, because then you kind of find like a gap in your knowledge,
Yeah.
right? So mentoring it helps you just as much as it helps the person you're mentoring.
Hmm. Yep. Because a lot of times it brings up new technologies that you probably never looked
Mm-hmm.
into. Like, for instance, someone was asking me about Rust a while back. I hadn't heard of the programming language, so if it kind of forced me to look into it, and
Mm-hmm.
it that'll help you keep your skills sharp. Just by someone mentioning it and you go and look into it and seeing what it's all about, and
Yep.
we'll get into programming a little later, but let me ask you this. This is a question that Gabe asked like 2 weeks ago when I was on a panel or something. But um, I really like this question, and I told him I'll add this to my list of questions that I typically ask.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it don't throw you off. But
Okay.
how do you document your learning resources? Do you use some type of software or
Ooh.
you write it down?
So, and that there's a nice little evolution with that. So when I first started, I wrote everything down because I'm a net like for some reason I have a problem with buying notebooks. Like I
Yeah, me
buy
too.
notebooks nonstop. It's like ridiculous. Like I have a million notebooks and I just keep buying more. So I would just write everything down. But
Hmm.
then I kind of realized like, all right, I'm tired of trying to dig through these notebooks for each of these, like for all my documentation. And so then I moved over to OneNote, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was either OneNote or Evernote. It was always one of those, just
Hmm.
because then you always have access no matter what device
Device.
you're on,
Yeah.
right? And that helps a lot. But then when I started working where I'm at now, and I discovered Confluence, which is also within Jira. Like, and we always had knowledge bases and everything at my other jobs,
Okay.
but I became a Jira admin. That's the main crutch of what I do right now. Like I'm a Jira admin. And so with Jira, there's Confluence. And so you document everything you do there.
Okay.
And I'm a believer that for any kind of new process, it should be documented. Any kind of
Hmm.
update, it needs to be documented. Like you should be documenting nonstop, honestly, within your like depending on what your role is. Like if you're a level one help desk tech, documenting will get you will help you a lot though. Like so if you're really good at your notes, like let's say someone comes in and like, hey, I can't log into Outlook, right? And you do all your troubleshooting. Make sure you document everything you do from step one to step two, from just resetting the password to power cycling the computer, because people like to see that because that shows effort. And then
Hmm.
also it saves your level 2 and level 3 tech the problem, the trouble of, all right, well, I'm going to do this again. Well, I already did it. So I was like, all right, well, that was a waste of time, right? It saves you time, and then you're not going to remember everything you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're you're not like. And I get really, so sometimes I go on these binges where I'm just working nonstop for like 12 or 14 hours. And, maybe I'm scripting or maybe I'm doing something with a server or I'm building something. And the later it gets, the less likely I am to maybe document a step.
Yeah.
Right. And then maybe I'll fix something. And then I'm like, all right, cool, good. And then 6 months down the line, you see that problem again.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing you did not document. And now you have to go through all those steps again to try and remember it. While it takes a lot of time up front, it will save you and someone else loads of time on the back end.
Yeah.
So I really think just document everything. And like I was saying, I use Confluence now. And the main reason I use Confluence is just because I admin it and it's just kind of like second nature now. But it doesn't matter where you do it, but just do it. And if you're working on a team, make sure your team has access to what you're documenting. Like, don't try and hoard everything. There's no reason to.
Yeah, that's true, man. Because that kind of reminds me of, and I'm going back to the military, but it definitely reminds me of that. That was one thing that was very important, documentation, because at the end of the day, and I know it's kind of like, I don't know, I mean, most people don't want to talk about death, but the way, we always relate it, you may not come back. Somebody got to take your place,
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And if you don't have no documentation on what you was actually doing, then they have to start from scratch pretty much and figure everything out, from that day forward, you know what I'm saying? And it's all about the mission, at the end of the day. And so the more efficient and the more I don't know, knowledge that's transferred, the better, we can continue operating or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's definitely important. So I've always been a stickler throughout my IT career about documentation as well. So just bringing it back to IT, get
And that's what it is. And
Yeah.
what's funny is my partner, I have a partner that I do a lot of like IT work with.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you he is the complete opposite of me, he will not document anything. He won't document how to do anything. And we have an ongoing joke because he's a dev. And I'm a firm believer that devs just don't like to document, like ever. Like they'll put their notes in their code and everything, but they won't document anything. And he just refuses to document.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I guess let me see. Oh, this rolls right into, I guess, one of those other questions one of the questions that I typically ask, all the time. And I know you kind of touched on a little earlier, but degrees, certifications, or both to get into this field?
I think I would never tell someone who wants to go to school to not go to school, right? Because, you get a lot. There's pluses and negatives, or pros and cons to both, right? The biggest con to college is the cost, right? Yeah. If college and the time, like it's a lot of time, and a lot of time it's a lot of fluff, especially if you know without a doubt what you want to do. If you know, hey, I'm going to school, I want to be a DevOps engineer, this is it. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Then you're probably gonna be like, why do I have to take humanities? Why do I have to take biology? So it's a lot of money that you save by just going for certs. But also, like you said, networking. In college, you're gonna network. If you just focus on certs, unless you're doing like boot camps, and even if you are doing boot camps, you're not gonna network the way you can in college. You will make those connections. That's the good thing about college. You make the connections. You can find those mentors. You can find professors. Like that's probably what I miss out on the most, is the fact that I went to school for something that has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. So I don't really have those connections from school to reach out to. Like I don't have, a professor, a coding professor or something to reach out to.
Okay.
So I would say, if you're someone who can network on your own, I would say certs, right? Like if you're active on, and social media also makes that a lot easier now. It's a lot easier to network because of social media. But I would say certs for me personally, I would just do certs. Like I would tell my kids the same thing. Like if you want to get into IT, go get a bunch of certs. You can meet people. It's not hard to meet people, but I guess that's my answer.
Okay. Yeah. Nah. I agree, man. So I mean, it's all on how you want it. I don't know. It's all on what you can afford, as well
Mm-hmm.
as I mean, because you got to think about those, your finances as well. I mean, if you
Yep.
can't afford to go to school, I mean, you can't afford to go to school. If you
Right.
don't
Yeah.
want all that college debt, you know what I'm saying. If you want to, try to just go straight into the certifications, it is, a way to actually do it. You may not go as high, because I think it's somewhat of a level,
Mm-hmm.
a ceiling, so to speak, with just certifications.
Okay.
Because if you're trying to get into, I don't know, director of IT or something, they're gonna want to see
Yeah.
some certifications. It all depends on the positions. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But as far as if you stand at that development level, or if you want to stay or continue to be, I don't know, get up to the point of a senior developer, and a lot of times you don't need that degree,
Right.
but it is beneficial to have at some point. So it
Yeah.
so later on, if you, I guess, get the money or the resources and all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
from working those jobs, then it'll be best to go to school. So it's oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, all I
You
was
had
gonna
something else?
say was, if you want to go management, I guess that is another big thing. If you want to go management, because that's pretty much what director level is, honestly.
Yeah.
Like once you don't want to be like the hands-on person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that degree comes in handy because then you're looking at a totally and completely different skill set,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're looking at where you may be dealing with like budgeting,
Yeah. Budgeting.
with you're managing people. Like when you become a manager or a director or anything like that, you're not managing the software or you're not managing the infrastructure, honestly.
Yeah.
You're managing the people who are managing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your job. And so that is more so where you're right. The college degree, a master's degree will come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but nah, I definitely agree with you, man. That whole college, the whole college, the networking piece that actually ties to that. So I definitely agree with you there. And I see Doc Phoenix in the building. He kind of said that as well. Absolutely, exactly what I've been saying about college from the beginning. It is networking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely true. And shout out to my man Super Slide 75. Good to see you in the building. And Pearson Centered Cyber. Good to see you. Schism, how you doing, man? How you doing? So
Schism has a good point actually.
uh
He said leverage junior community college to
yep.
offset cost.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% agree.
Yep.
Go to a community college at first, just
Mm-hmm.
in case you're not sure. You can go to community college for what I think it's like 5,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a
It's
fraction.
pretty cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now, since my channel is strictly about Linux and that's
Okay.
all I really talk about, I just want to know how important Linux is, I guess, in your job or at least
Mhm.
understanding it. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So I love Linux. And when I was probably midway through like my IT career, probably like a year or two ago, I was like obsessed with just Linux. Like I was the Raspberry Pi, scripting, everything, right?
Yeah, I remember you was talking about Mr. Robot. That's my
Yeah,
favorite show.
exactly. So yeah, like I love Linux, and I think once you find a position where you can utilize you're probably going to have more fun working with it than any other position because it's ever changing. It's so much customization, like, and if you know it, like you know it,
Hmm.
right? In my current position, I have not touched a Linux terminal in a year for work.
Hmm.
So like
Which
I
is
don't
most
have to
people.
utilize it. Yeah,
Yeah, unless you're a Linux administrator.
exactly. And because my company is very heavily Windows based, and then we use a lot of like we use AWS and things like that. There's a little bit of you can use Linux within AWS, but it's not. I'm not hands on with it at all right now. To be totally
Mm.
completely honest.
No, you good. And then
Mhm.
Let me ask you this. So, have you
Mhm.
dabbled in any type of cybersecurity? Like using
I
Kali, Parrot, or
I have actually security is still my end goal right now. So like right now I
okay,
am working as a system engineer, but cybersecurity is where I want to be, right?
okay,
So yeah, I've used Kali and I've used Parrot, and Kali is like the industry standard,
yeah,
right? You Kali is great. I personally loved Parrot. I actually wiped out one of my MacBooks and put Parrot on there as the main operating system
cool.
just to play around with it. This is what I was telling you earlier when I was like, I tried to use it as like my everyday driver.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, all right, this got to stop for a minute
Yeah.
because, but yeah, no, Kali and Parrot are, if if you want to learn cybersecurity, get Kali
Mm,
because the tools are all there. And it's some cool stuff. Like you can learn how to do a lot. You can use Metasploit. You can learn how to what am I trying to say? Kind of like exploit other machines,
yeah.
I guess, for lack of better words. You can see it. And I think a lot of times when you're learning something, you want to see it. You want to
Yeah.
actually see what you're doing. And especially within cybersecurity, everyone automatically thinks, "Oh, I want to be a hacker if I'm going to go into cybersecurity." That's not exactly what cybersecurity is, but if you go into Kali Linux, you will get to see, hack some stuff, and you'll have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I always tell people if you never worked with Linux before, or at least on a long term basis within like
Mm-hmm.
virtual machines at least before, um, make sure you take a backup or a clone of your Windows OS so you can put it back on there. Because a lot of people get to the point where they get frustrated or they run into a problem and it's super frustrating to fix, which I
Yeah.
understand. Just go on and clone everything back to
Yep.
Windows. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. So like start off like if you're new to Linux, don't flash a computer
Yeah.
to have just Linux on it. Go download VirtualBox,
Hmm.
download what's the other container that VMware.
Yeah. VMware.
Download one of those, create your Linux box, clone
Hmm.
it from the get go, because you're gonna mess something up. And sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, you know what, I just need a clean install.
Hmm.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, and it's super cool that you can actually install what is it? I can't remember exactly what it's called, but you can install um, Linux on Windows 10.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I know they have like Orch, they have Ubuntu, they have
Yep, they
Kali
have Kali.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah, where you can install it on Windows 10. And I don't know, did you see um uh I guess the news about Windows 11? I just
I
wanted
did
to
see the
ask you
news.
that.
I did see the news. We were talking about it at work the other day. Obviously, nobody will be on Windows 11 for at least for the next 3 to
Oh
4
yeah.
years, even once it drops, and that's being nice. I did not look at like any of the release or anything like that. I haven't looked at the notes yet. I was going to actually look at some of that tonight.
Hmm.
But I'm excited about Windows 11. Like Windows 10 is cool. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think we all know Windows 11 is going to be super buggy when it first drops. Uh but from what I saw, I did see how it looks, and it looks clean. It looks super clean. I will say
Yeah,
that.
they went that whole Mac route, and
Yeah.
like how they had a board in a well, they always had the board at the bottom, but it's in the middle, all the
Now it's in the
icons.
middle, right?
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then also one of the cool features, because I'm a big fan of MKBHD, and I saw that he was
Mm-hmm.
saying that they incorporating Android apps into it. So
Okay.
more social media, right
Yeah.
on right on the desktop though. So that's
And
that's that's
that's
good.
a big deal because that's to kind of, I don't want to say combat, but that's to mimic what Apple has been doing for a while,
Yeah.
right? Because Apple has kind of made it where you can get a lot of their apps on any of their devices. And so that was kind of one of the few things Windows always kind of like slacked on. Like I don't know why I don't have a Facebook app on my on my Windows computer. Like why do I
Hmm.
still have to go to Google? Because
Yeah.
obviously the Facebook app works better as an app than it does as a website. I don't know if you've used the Facebook website lately, but
Hmm.
it is literally horrible. It
Yeah.
is one of the worst websites I've ever. I hate being on my website, like on my Facebook website. Anytime I live stream, like it's just so clunky but the
Yeah.
app is so seamless.
Yeah, and I think that's they trying to force people to use the app because I don't know if you experience this, but I know when I go to Facebook in my browser on my computer,
Mm-hmm.
anytime you click on a link, it opens up a new tab. I don't know if that's just an issue with my browser that I use because I use a Brave browser,
Okay.
but it just pops open each link into a new,
Really?
yeah, into a new tab, and then I have to close the previous tab I was on. It's stupid, man. But big shout out to Doc Phoenix. I definitely appreciate the $20 super chat. Definitely, he says respect, keep it techie. Yeah, shout out to you, bro. Definitely appreciate it. Um, now, and actually, Doc Phoenix, I gotta hit you up, man, so I could try to get you on as well. Cause you know, you be on it, bro. Um, he's in the STEM field as well, so
Oh, nice.
um,
Okay, perfect.
yeah, yeah. So, um, there was one other thing. Oh, programming languages.
Yes.
What programming languages do you recommend, or do you know and recommend?
Python is my main programming language right now, and I still to this day recommend everyone go learn Python. Like, even if you're not in the IT field, you can learn Python. It's English. It's literally English.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's not, the syntax is super simple. You can probably get up and running with Python in what, a month? Like, it's and be close to intermediate level if you really kind of just like buckle down. It's so easy. You can use it for everything, scripting, databases. It's just, I love it. I love Python. I know Swift as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I get a little bit too angry when I use Swift, so I don't use it as much as I should.
Swift is
But
by Apple, right?
yeah, Swift
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
Apple language. Yeah. So, like, if you want to do like a, if you want to develop an app or anything like that, then that's Swift. It also, I guess it depends on what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
also. Cause like, I think everyone's first language is still always C++,
Yeah.
which I hate it. When I learned it, I hated it. I don't remember any of it, to be totally completely honest. Java is another one that I know a little bit. JavaScript I know pretty well. But if I had to suggest a language, it's always going to be Python, just
Yeah.
because of the simplicity behind it. And because I feel like if you go into something too hard or difficult,
Mm-hmm.
you lose interest really quick,
Yeah.
right? Because then you're like, I'm not going to do this. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some programming languages that are that ridiculous,
Yeah.
but Python will give you a good window, and especially if you get a good training program and you start doing the projects for it. Yeah, Python is perfect.
Yeah. Basically, what you said is it kind of reminded me of the nightmare experience I had with PHP. I did not like that language, man. I mean, it's a lot of people say it's easy, but
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? I
No.
understood. I mean, you can when you want once you learn one programming language, you kind of understand the concepts of how
Mm-hmm.
programming languages work. So you can easily pick up another one. It was just PHP I did not like. I mean,
Yeah,
or I
I get it.
couldn't, yeah,
It just
get
didn't
into it too
click.
much.
It
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
click.
yeah. Yeah, and you run into languages like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. But like you said, Python though, yeah, it's very easy to read, like you said, and
Mm-hmm.
and super simple for people to actually get into it. So,
It
definitely,
is.
yeah, definitely agree with
I,
you. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was learning HTML. I was looking at HTML and just doing web dev in general. And I was honestly surprised at how simple it was, because I
Mm-hmm.
really just thought it was a lot more. I thought it was a lot more than what it was, like
Okay.
tagging and all that other stuff. I'm like, oh, this is simple.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this.
Yep.
So
And
HTML, that's another good easy website or like language that you can
yeah.
learn.
Yep, and that's what most people learn before they get into PHP. You know, you got to have some understanding of HTML because it a lot of times when you're building websites, you know, the HTML and PHP is used in tandem. Based on what I remember from you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's PHP was mainly introduced for the dynamic web pages because everything
Yeah.
was static at one point. So when PHP was introduced, that's how the whole dynamic websites actually started. But um, one thing I want to I just put a link in the chat based on what you said, Python. This is something that I
Mhm.
always point people to. Python Institute, they have a lot of training, a lot of resources on there that'll help you learn the
Yep.
Python language. So,
They have a
and
cert.
yep, yep. So check them out. Check them out if you're interested in it. And I'm almost about to forget, but I typically try to show. Um, I try to show your links, your channel.
Oh,
So yeah, I is there anything you want to say about your channel or introduce people to your channel and all your
yeah,
different
for
links?
sure.
Yeah.
I'm very active on. Well, I was very active on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, that is just at itguyrye. And usually what I would just post is kind of like just little tips and hints and stuff like that. My YouTube channel, it has been pretty stagnant lately, but I am getting back into it. I really want to get back to posting. As you see, it's pulled up right now. I do some tutorials. I have an interview with a security or vulnerability expert on there. I talk about how to get started in the IT. Um, I really, I love when people join IT. Like, I love seeing new people hop
Mm-hmm.
in the IT field because it's just such an, awesome field.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Those are my two main ones. I have something on Facebook too, but you don't need to follow that. There's nothing interesting on there right now.
For sure. It's all good. But yeah, man, I look forward to, seeing new content and everything on your channel, man. I'm gonna do my best to push you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I want you
Thank you.
to, put some, start putting some more content back up, bro. So, and then I'm gonna definitely support you, cause and share your links, share your videos, and all that stuff to try to help you get more people interested in IT, because I can't do this all by myself. You know what I'm saying? It's good to, have other people talking about it, because I can only talk about my experiences. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And other people, or not everybody is gonna relate to just what I talk about. And so I don't mind pushing and helping other people, get their message out there as well, because we all have our own path way that we took to get into IT. So
Yeah.
it's important to hear all the different things. And that's one of the reasons I do this live stream, because I'm not no great interviewer. I'm not no great public speaker. I did it in the military where, I trained classes or did taught classes where it's just straight to the point. Boom, boom, boom. This
Right.
is what you do. This is what you do. And then keep it moving. So I'm not, that big on being in front of crowds and all that stuff. So it's definitely important to have, other people out there doing it as well, and that I can support and push as well. So
Yeah. We appreciate you teaching because I've definitely learned some things from your channel. Like I think I found you because I had a very specific issue, and you
uh-huh.
were like the one person who had a video on that specific issue. It was like the oddest
Hmm.
thing ever. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and that's one thing, man. I've been, I don't know, I get questions all the time, and it seems like I did a pretty decent job covering a lot of different things, that a lot of questions, because it kind of started off with questions that I had while using Linux. And once I
Mhm.
learned those solutions, or I learned how to fix it, then I would make a video about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was
Yep.
slow in the beginning, but uh, it seems like it's helping people and starting to take off and everything. So, um, but hey, man, I gotta. Well, I was I was almost finna end the show. I wasn't trying to end the show. I wanted to make sure people had or if people had any questions, go on and drop them in the chat so I could ask. I
Yep.
thought I seen something. Oh, Professor Black Ops said he just subbed, so shout out to you, Professor Black Ops. And I don't know if I spoke to you earlier, but shout out to you, man. He's the resident Stig guy. That's what I call him.
Okay.
Have you worked with Stigs before?
No,
Do
I'm
you know
not.
what that is? Okay, all right, cool, yeah. And that's typical for people that haven't worked in the government, so to speak. There is some
Yeah.
form of it in on the
Okay.
civilian side, but mostly government, from what I've seen. So,
Yeah. And I've never worked government. I did quasi government, I guess you could say, because I was with a transportation company for a few
mm-hmm,
years. So
mm-hmm,
but that wasn't a fully government position. Like
Okay.
they literally referred to the company as a quasi government position. So
Okay. Now let me
yeah.
ask you this. He did ask, what is your thoughts on security in your
Mm-hmm.
field?
Um, in my field right now, it's because so my company is very cloud oriented
Mm-hmm.
right now. And so when I think of security, I'm so used to kind of like the old way of doing things. Like you have to secure like your hardware, you have to secure like, your people. Your people are still your biggest vulnerability. Um it's what's the best way to put it? I don't think it's lacking, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels very secretive to me. I think like not like there's a small group of people, and this is just in my particular company. Like I know in the company I was with before, I had a very like I knew what was going on. Like we have our ITIS meetings, right? Or info security meetings, but everything is just kind of like all over the place. So that's kind of a hard question to answer
Mm-hmm.
in regards to my current field, I guess.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. Um, let me see. It's engineering cannabis. Shout out to you, bro. Good to see you. And I'm gonna respond to your email today. I was looking at doing something next week, so I definitely got you down as something we want to talk about, or what you want to talk about. So let me see. Within the system engineering, how much automation is being carried out? And that
A
was one of my
lot.
questions. Okay, go ahead. Go
A
ahead.
lot. Automation is everything. So we run
Oh yeah.
everything through API and Jenkins. Like, so what's funny is
Ah, you the
until
first person I know that works with Jenkins. Okay.
oh yeah.
That
Yeah,
I met.
we work with it heavy. Yeah, we work
Okay.
with it heavy. What's funny is we automated our new hire experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where so we would get our tickets, and so we were able to make it where we'd get our Jira tickets, and all it took was the push of a button, and it would create all the accounts for a new hire
Mm-hmm.
based off of the information it grabbed from like Greenhouse, which is like the onboarding platform that we use, right?
Okay.
And so it would bring in all their information. It made it so simple. We could offboard users, we could create, Galaxy accounts, all at the touch of a button. And then our company recently merged with another one, and that broke everything. And what I tell you right now, most of my job is just creating new hires right now because
Okay.
we're hiring at that kind of clip, and we haven't fixed the automation yet just because of how busy everything else has been.
Mm-hmm.
But before this, we automated everything. And I think, and again, that's when Python comes in handy because you could automate everything with Python. Like between Python, PowerShell, and if you have a good understanding of APIs,
Mm-hmm.
you can do automate anything. And I
Yeah.
think everyone should try and automate their job. Automate what you do because you're going to spend, those 12 to 18 hours building the script and automating it and everything. But then once you do that, your job becomes substantially easy. Like I'm a big believer of do the hard work up front that will make your life easier in the long run.
Oh yeah.
And so if you could automate whatever it is you do daily, like if you have a day-to-day task, do it. Automate
Mm-hmm.
it. Like it's working smarter.
Yeah. Definitely. 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 Yeah. And I've had experience, throughout my career where I've automated certain tasks and processes to make my job super easy. Everybody, thinks that, oh, you're getting rid of your job, or it's actually making you more valuable at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
because you understand a lot of these processes enough to actually automate it. You know what I'm saying? Which
Right.
is very hard to do. You know what I'm saying? If you
Exactly.
don't know what you're doing, So, um, but I definitely agree. And it was one other thing. Let's see. Oh, shout out to Tech Hut. Good to see you in the building, man. And Mr. E, he says, is there any way to get a job in IT with no experience and certifications? Now I have my
Yes.
thoughts. I'm gonna let you go first though.
I think there is. I think you can. Well, okay, hold on. let me slow down for a second, just a little bit. Without any experiences and without any certifications, you will be looking for, lack of better words, grunt work.
Yep.
Right? You're gonna be looking
Pulling
for
cables.
yeah,
or something like that.
like you're trying to get your foot in the door. It will not be a pleasant experience 9 times out of 10. Right? Is it impossible? No. You still need to be able to, in some way, shape, or form, prove that you at least have the capability to do what it is you're saying, like you're applying for. So remember when we said lab, someone mentioned build your portfolio. Yeah. Record everything you do, document everything you're doing, because even if you haven't worked in the IT field, then you can speak to, hey, look, I don't do this, but you look like a go-getter. Look at this. I built this server. I networked my house. I started, doing IT work, for a church, right? Like volunteer work is still important, honestly. If you can find someone who needs some kind of IT help, like a new small business or something like that, do it. Because then what you can do is, you're going to break a lot, but you'll learn how to fix it too in the process. So I don't think it is impossible to get the job without the experience, and I don't think you need the certs right off the bat, especially for like a tier 1 help desk tech. No. If you go to a job and they ask you about a cert as a tier 1 help desk, to me that's kind of a red flag, because they want you to do more than a regular help desk tech, but they want to pay you help desk tech money.
Yeah.
And to me that's a bit of a red flag, but that's me personally.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with your statement. You don't necessarily have to have the experience to get into those lower tier positions. And this is one reason I heavily push open source software and free software. It's out there. You know what I'm saying? Everything you need is out there for free. All these resources are online. Now I understand maybe you don't have internet connectivity. Well, make the effort and go to your local library now that COVID is open, and connect to the internet, and look at the resources from there. You know what I'm saying? And so if you really want to get into this field, then you got to put in the effort, and you got to put in the work to actually get the experience that you can, using whatever you can use, all these free resources out here, in order to help you at least put things on your resume. And GitHub, another great resource. If you don't, if you're trying to get in and become a developer or something like that, that portfolio piece that you talked about, you can go out there and look at all the different software that's out there on GitHub, and try to you can filter by whatever programming language you're trying to learn or whatever, and start trying to help build some software or assist with software that's already out there. And if your stuff gets approved, that's part of your portfolio right there. Oh, I worked on, or I assisted, or I contributed to this application that's currently being heavily used within the open source community. So, that right there can be put on your resume. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a lot of resources out here, like you said, but you just got to put in that effort, and drive.
You got to search.
Yep.
Like go on Google and just type in open source. I think I did a video on like open source technology or something like that. It's so much out there. It's a lot. You will find there's a program for everything. There's somewhere. Someone is up 9 times out of 10 already built it. What you can do is, if someone's built something that you think is useful, but it's not getting the kind of like attention, revamp it.
Fork it. Yeah.
Like fork it and start working it, make it better. Like it just shows initiative on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree. Now let's see. Sorry, I kind of messed up that link, but I just put, someone asked about GitHub's link, so I dropped it in the chat, so you can go check it out. But github.com is where you can go and see a whole bunch of software, and I mean, people even have their own websites up there where they, have, I don't know, all their IT information up there. I've seen people pages like that. So it's kind of like a portfolio, online portfolio for tech people. So
Market yourself. That's what you're doing.
mm-hmm.
You're marketing yourself, honestly. Like
Yep.
that's still important. That's still important in the tech field. Like people, I think a lot of people have a misconception about the tech field that it's not a field where you have to deal with people or the human element. Like a lot of people like, I don't like people, so I want to go into IT. Then IT ain't the field for you
Yeah.
because you got to deal with people all day, every day. I like as a system engineer, I deal with people. Half my day is meetings all
Mm-hmm.
day, every day. Like, hey, I'm not happy with this. Hey, why is this going this way? Why is this working this way? You, it's a people field, so you have to market yourself.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this: since you brought that up, meetings,
Mm-hmm.
have has your company? Well, and I don't want you to say what you can't say, but
Yeah, yeah, of course.
has your company, I don't know, implemented some type of like scale agile framework type? You know what I'm talking about? The scale agile, where it's like pipelining. It's mainly for developers,
Mm-hmm.
pipelining software. Um,
So we do use an agile. We are kind of like what's the word? How would you environment? Not environment. Like it's hard to explain. So like especially within my team, my manager kind of went kind of crazy on the agile framework, and so everything kind of went like to that. So like sprint task and everything like that. I'm assuming that's what
oh yeah,
you're.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
And the
So
DSUs
yeah,
every day.
yeah, yeah. So and automatically with agile, it's a million more meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a meeting for everything. Like so at one point, so we had our main sprint meeting where we would talk about like what we were working on, our projects that we were working on.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got so bad to the point where on Mondays we would have a 30-minute pre-meeting to talk about the meeting that we were going to have that was about our sprint work.
Wow.
So yeah, there was that, and then it got cut out of hand after a while. It was like, all right, we're gonna have to cut these down because I can't spend 4 hours in meetings all day.
Mm-hmm.
I won't get anything done.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And shout out to Aquatechie for the $10 super chat. I definitely appreciate it. And if you guys have not already, go on and subscribe to IT Guy Rye. Put his link in
Thank
the
you.
description. I'm gonna actually put it down there because we're gonna wrap it up. But I definitely appreciate you coming on, Ryan.
Anytime, man.
This was a great conversation, man. You dropped a lot of jewels, like I knew you would, based on your content, because I'm subscribed to your channel as well. You know what I'm saying? And
Thank
I'm
you.
ready for you to put up some more content. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna try to push people your way, like I stated, man. But great interview. I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. And you have a good day. And keep on, hey, stay on the back end. I just want to talk to you after this. But
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
shout out to everybody that came out for the tech talk. I definitely appreciate it. And keep it tech.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. Peace.
Boom. There we go.
Cool. It's a lot of fun.